So here I am at St Mark's Church by the altar frontal for the Advent season, and the next 3 minutes I want to just go through what the Advent season is about. You'll probably know that what everyone knows is that Advent means arrival, and we're waiting for the coming of Christ. And most typically, because of kind of Advent calendars, we associate that with the coming of Christ at Christmas, and that is true. You know, we are waiting for the arrival of the Christ child, and that is part of the Advent story. And, you know, you probably have chocolates in your Advent calendars now, but in the old days, if you had pictures, this is when you'd have pictures of kind of shepherds pasturing their flocks in the fields, waiting for the arrival of the Christ child. You might see the wise men getting on their camels and horses on their way there. You might see Mary and Joseph and angels and all those kinds of things from the kind of nativity stories that we know very well and which we read about in carol services. But, in a sense, the church's understanding of Advent is about a different coming of Christ. Listen to this. This is the collect for the first Sunday of Advent. Almighty God, give us grace that we may cast away the works of darkness and put on the armour of light. Now, in the time of this mortal life, in which your Son, Jesus Christ, came to visit us in great humility, that on the last day, when he shall come in his glorious majesty to judge both the living and the dead, we may rise to the life immortal. This is the idea that Jesus, his work is not yet complete. He's begun it in his arrival on earth and his death and resurrection, but really he will complete it at the coming of on the last day, which is like the last judgment. He will wrap up the universe. And we're living in the kind of in-between times. And the very first Christians thought this was going to come very, very soon. We know maybe next week or next month. And I think it was a bit of a shock to them, even to Paul, when it didn't happen the way they expected. But Advent is therefore, in this sense, not about expecting the arrival of Jesus and the Christ child, but the arrival of Jesus, who is the judge of the living and the dead. And that's why behind me at the altar frontal, you can see the scales, so weighing up your life, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Jesus is doing that. And I think you can live that out in the Bible whereas Luke and Matthew in the nativity stories is all about kind of quite a lot of human stuff, shepherds, angels, how it feels to be pregnant, Herod's jealousy, all that kind of stuff. John, when he looks at the Christmas story, he doesn't bother with any of that. In the beginning was the Word, and the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness hasn't overcome it, all that kind of stuff. You don't get any angels or shepherds or anything. It's all about kind of a more cosmic kind of meaning. And I just wonder if we need to live our life both ways. Yes, we need to do small acts of kindness, reaching out to our neighbours. We've also got to get the big picture. And the big picture is that God is at the centre of the universe. And Jesus is the representative of God, kind of the heartbeat of the universe. And that shift in understanding to this is just a random universe to God is at the centre and Jesus is at the centre, that is what governs why we take our decisions in life. And if you can get that aspect, then Advent is quite a different season. It's not hanging around waiting for Christmas presents. It's waiting for the last day, and how we act on this earth should be done in the perspective that Jesus will wrap things up at the end. Thanks.